If you're someone who enjoys playing competitive first-person shooter games, but you feel like you're not having fun with any competitive first-person shooter games that are currently out, then I might have a solution for you. Up until recently, I was in the same boat where I felt like I just wasn't really having fun with any of the competitive first-person shooter games available. That was until the game The Finals came out. With the release of The Finals, things started to change very quickly for me. Upon trying it out and seeing what all the hype was about, I discovered a game which brought back something I was lacking, the feeling of having fun again in a game. Right out the gate, The Finals had me hooked, and I was actually enjoying playing it. It truthfully made gaming fun for me again, and it could potentially do the same for you. I believe that The Finals is a perfect balance between a fun and competitive experience. I think this balance is what makes it so fun. When playing it, I feel like I'm being challenged, but not too challenged. It's just the right amount of challenge to make me want to continue playing the game for the challenge, instead of pushing me away from the game. This is something many other competitive first-person shooter games lack. They don't know how to balance how fun the game is with how competitive it can be, as well as either make the game too challenging or not challenging enough. If you take a game like Rainbow Six Siege, which I played for a long time, I think a game like that is too challenging, which forces new players to want to give up playing it early on, as there's just way too much to learn and improve upon in that game. Don't get me wrong, some people enjoy that kind of challenge and want an extremely high skill gap like that. But I think for the majority of people, they find a game like Rainbow Six Siege to just be way too much. So while it most definitely offers a challenge, for most people it's just not fun because it's too challenging. This causes the game to be extremely unbalanced in the fun to competitive department, as it's way too competitive of a game. On the other hand, if you take a game like Halo Infinite, which is also a game I've played a lot of, that game is very easy to learn and play. There's not much of a skill gap, as there's not a lot of things you could learn to improve upon as a player. Not to mention, the game practically holds your hand the entire time, as the aim assist is extremely powerful on both controller and even keyboard and mouse, which shouldn't have aim assist to begin with. I'm someone who primarily plays keyboard and mouse, so for me to say that keyboard and mouse shouldn't have aim assist says something, but that's just the kind of game Halo Infinite is. It prioritizes fun so much that it lacks competition. When you play Halo Infinite, you pretty much automatically do good in the game if you have any experience playing competitive first-person shooter games at all. Yeah, it can be a little bit more challenging if you play ranked, but even still, after only playing a few games, you most likely will quickly learn everything you need to be able to do well, and that makes most people feel like there just isn't enough of a challenge. That's why the majority of people that play Halo Infinite play it, because they don't want as big of a challenge. They just want a more laid back and easier experience, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But that's not going to please most people because they want to be challenged and want to be able to learn and improve at something. This is why The Finals is so good. It's not as challenging as a game like Rainbow Six Siege, but it's not as easy as a game like Halo Infinite. It hits the sweet spot where it's right in the middle. That makes most people want to give the game a try, as it's inviting to play. They're able to feel like they could have fun and do good, but know that they are still able to learn a lot more to improve as a player. This is what keeps me playing The Finals. I enjoy it and I'm good at it, but I know I could be so much better, and there's a lot I could work on. It's important for a game to have a high skill gap like this, but obviously you don't want it too high like in Rainbow Six Siege. That way players don't feel like there's too much that they have to learn and work on to improve, but just enough to make them feel comfortable taking on the challenge. The Finals does a great job in doing this, and an even better job at making the experience fun, because while it's challenging because of its competitive nature and because of its high skill gap, it's also extremely rewarding and allows you to be creative on how you play. The way The Finals rewards you is by making you feel like you earned each kill you get and each objective you complete. When getting into a gunfight with someone, because of the higher TTK that is in this game, there's room to sway the fight in your favor. So even if you weren't the first one to start shooting, you still have a chance to win the gunfight just by having better aim and movement. This, in my opinion, makes the gunfights feel intense and makes them feel like a real fight. If you take a game like Call of Duty, for example, you die pretty quickly in that game, even within the newest Call of Duty, that being Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. That's because in MW3, everyone has 150 health. This might be a higher TTK than previous Call of Duty games like MW2, which had a base health of 100, but if you compare it to the finals, it's really not that much. For comparison, the light build in the finals has 150 health, and you could die pretty quickly when playing as the light builds. If you look at the medium build, they have 250 health, and then the heavy build has 350 health. So the TTK can range from low to high depending on who you're fighting. Again, this rewards players who have better aim and movement, as you could potentially kill a heavy as a light just by simply being better. The finals also rewards you for being knowledgeable, because if you know how to properly use your specialization and gadgets, then you are given an advantage compared to players who aren't as knowledgeable. It also helps to be knowledgeable on the maps, the current meta, and recoil patterns, as that gives you an advantage over other players who aren't as knowledgeable on those things, which is rewarding. Luckily, if you aren't that knowledgeable yet because you're a new player, that's okay, as the finals rewards you in other ways too, like for example being creative. There's a lot of room to get creative, as the arenas you fight in within the finals are an open sandbox. That means if you could think of something crazy, you're most likely able to do it with how destructive the arenas are within the game. You could pretty much destroy anything from the walls to the ceilings to entire buildings. So if you want to blow the objective down to a different floor, or even down to the bottom floor, that's possible within the finals. It feels extremely rewarding when you think of something on the spot and you pull it off successfully because the game gave you that opportunity to do it. Additionally, the finals rewards you for trying out new stuff too, as everything feels like a viable option within the game. So if you want to run around smacking people with a sledgehammer, that's not only a viable option, but can work well too. It feels like the finals almost wants you to try out everything in the game, as while there might be a certain meta within the game, like all competitive first-person shooter games, even if you don't use what's considered to be meta, you could still do good. If you want to burn everyone and everything with a flamethrower, that's completely possible and can work well too. You don't have to use the same gun constantly, you're able to actually switch it up if you want to and not get punished for it. If we take a look again at the game Call of Duty, it's nearly impossible to do good in that game if you're not using what's considered to be a part of the meta. That's because most of the things that aren't meta are really bad. For example, if you're not using the meta guns, you will get punished for it, as the guns that aren't meta are terrible for the most part. This forces everyone to be using the same exact thing just to do good within the game. Luckily, the finals isn't like that at all. As I said, you could pretty much use anything you want and still do good with it. I've seen players absolutely destroy with weapons like the sniper or the throwing knives. That's just something that you can't really do in other competitive first-person shooter games like Call of Duty. The last thing I want to talk about that I think makes the finals so enjoyable and has made gaming fun for me again is the finals is something entirely new and different from any other competitive first-person shooter game on the market. While it shares qualities of other big games that many people know and love, like Fortnite, Call of Duty, CSGO, Valorant, Battlefield, and so many more, at the end of the day, it's really its own thing. It's not just another battle royale game or arcade shooter. It's something that's never been done before, and I love that. The developers took a huge risk making this game, and luckily it seems to be paying off for them. I'm happy that they came up with something completely new in such a dense and cluttered market. It's truly amazing. I honestly think the finals create its own subgenre of a competitive first-person shooter game, and I'm glad to be a part of it. There's nothing else on the market like the finals, which very few games can say. If it wasn't for the finals, I'd still be stuck playing the same old games that have been out for forever now and are honestly getting old at this point. I've played a fair share of most competitive first-person shooter games out there, and nothing has gotten me as hooked as the finals. I'm close to playing over 200 hours in the finals already, and it's only been out for a month. I know that's just the beginning of my journey within the finals though, as I plan on playing for potentially thousands of hours. This is a game I want to master and be the best I possibly can be in. I want to be a part of the best players in the game and learn every little thing I can. The finals makes me appreciate being a gamer again and shows me how passionate I could be about something when I truly enjoy it. I hope the finals can do the same for you. While it might not be the next Fortnite, I think the game can definitely stand its ground against its competitors and will be around for years and years to come. I think at the end of the day, it really comes down to the developers and how they will update the game and support it. They have something truly amazing. Let's hope that they can maintain it and keep it being amazing. In conclusion, if you're someone who is not having fun playing any competitive first-person shooter games, then the answer to your problem might be the finals, as it was for me. The finals truly made gaming fun again for me, and it could potentially do the same for you. What makes the game so enjoyable is its balance of being fun and also competitive. The game is challenging, but not too challenging to where it's overwhelming. It finds the perfect balance of being just challenging enough to not be too easy, but also not be too hard. Not to mention, the game is extremely rewarding, as it rewards you for having good skills and being knowledgeable, but it also rewards you for being creative and trying new things. You could learn a lot and become a really good player from its high skill gap, but you could also mess around and try wacky and out of the ordinary stuff as well. It's all up to you and how you want to play and how you want your experience to be. You could strive to be the best possible player or just play casually. It's up to you. The finals is also brand new and different from any other competitive first-person shooter game on the market, which is another reason for it being so fun. There's truthfully no other game that will give you the same experience as the finals. So naturally, a brand new experience that's done really well and has the right balance of things you want and don't want makes for a really fun time. I truthfully think that if you haven't played the finals yet, then you need to play it immediately, as it just might make gaming fun again. That's it for me though. Are you going to try out the finals now? If you already have, then what's your opinion on it? Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, then please give it a like. And if you want more content like this, then subscribe. Have a great day, everyone.